Hello again. It is a very strange coincidence that within 24 hours of fanatical Remainer Jeremy Hunt being appointed Chancellor of the Exchequer, the words Project Fear were trending on Twitter. For those who don't know about this, Project Fear was the informal name given to concerted efforts by politicians who opposed Britain leaving the European Union and predicted terrible consequences, such as economic disaster. It is perfectly true that there have been terrible things happening lately, not only, of course, with the British economy, but other European countries as well. However, we are now being told that Project Fear was right all along, and the reason the British economy is in a pickle has nothing to do with a succession of useless chancellors. We are now on the fourth chancellor of the Exchequer in 4 months, but rather it's all because we left Europe. Even the Daily Telegraph, which has always been keen on Brexit, had an article in yesterday's edition by Jeremy Warner, the assistant editor, and it had a very bold headline: Project Fear was right all along. I give a link to this piece in the description to this video. What are we to make of all this, I wonder? Can it really be true that if we hadn't left Europe, the British economy would be sailing along cheerfully with none of the bumps and glitches caused by the war in Ukraine or the crisis in fuel prices? I confess myself to be a little dubious about this, not least because this about turn by the Telegraph comes the very day after Jeremy Hunt was installed as Chancellor. Some people are saying that Hunt is now effectively in charge of the government and that Liz Truss is powerless. This is all very alarming. I'm maybe old-fashioned, but I do like to know who's actually running the country. Of course, economics, like so many other subjects, is something about which I know very little. If the rest of Europe and the world were getting along famously and only Britain was in difficulties, then I suppose that I could see why Brexit might be at least partly to blame. From all I can see, though, we're not the only country in trouble. Sweden and Italy have both turned to right-wing parties in recent elections for this very reason, because the world seems to be in something of a crisis. Germany is the most enthusiastic member of the European Union, and yet its economy is on the verge of recession due to the drying up of supplies of fuel from Russia. Those same fears have caused predictions for the Italian economy that there will be zero growth in that country next year. Everywhere we look, it's the same story. And yet in Britain alone, the reason is that we chose to leave Europe. I have a horrible idea that reversing Brexit is going to be offered as a way of curing all Britain's problems if Jeremy Hunt remains at the Treasury. All those professional politicians who wanted to remain in Europe have been waiting for just such a chance as this, and with the leadership in 10 Downing Street so feeble, this may be their chance to press for a move back to Europe. Watch out for more newspapers claiming that Project Fear was right all along and that the only salvation for this country is to rejoin Europe.